So before we get into the review, I'm going to have to make the obvious joke. Was this a good movie? Was this a film that I would recommend? And did this deserve all the praise and awards that it received? The answer is, of course, nope. It does show us, though, once again, how Hollywood picks winners and losers in the film industry. It's almost entirely political. I mean, I'm speaking to the converted at this point. Whenever I look at the list of films that are nominated, I've seen virtually none of them. It's always a minor historical event. It's about civil rights. It's some sort of historical revisionism thing, or it's they have like some minority director who made a halfway competent film that they want to give an award to, so they can change their like proportion of people who got the different things. And Jordan Peele is to me, he's kind of like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the film industry, wherein Neil deGrasse Tyson is Black Science Man. He's the guy that they've picked as their like spokesman, and they just kind of trot him out whenever they want to do something about science and have diversity. And Jordan Peele is that for their the film industry. So to be somewhat fair, I didn't watch Get Out. I'm gonna admit I didn't watch it. I just to me I tried watching it a couple times, and I just find it too politically abhorrent to really sit through. So the little parts I did watch, though, it looked like it was fairly competently made. So I'll give them credit for that. It didn't look like... It looked like something that was actually made by a major studio. Us, which I did see, had a really bad plot twist, a really bad ending, but the cinematography was decent. There was like some legitimately scary, decent parts in the film. It's far from the worst horror film I've ever seen. It was tolerable, even if it wasn't really good. And so that brings us to Nope. And I'm sure most of you who go see movies saw the trailer for this film, and it looked a little bit interesting. It's like, okay, they call it a neo-western. It's like sci-fi, horror, neo-western. It looks like kind of some sort of Skinwalker Ranch thing going down. And I was like, it's Jordan Peele, so it's probably going to be like maybe okay, but with some really bad aspects to it. And I didn't go see it in theaters because I didn't want to give Jordan Peele money, and it didn't really look good enough to see. And I don't even know if I really had an opportunity to. It's so weird to be able to even go see films these days. But I decided to finally sit down and watch it just to see what this thing even was. So, it is the biggest catfish since the movie Catfish. For those of you who don't know, the term catfish comes from the movie Catfish, which was billed as being like a horror thriller found footage movie, but was actually this like lame documentary about a guy who got catfished. But the movie was a catfish because it wasn't actually a horror movie, or it didn't in any way resemble the trailer. And this is the biggest catfish since the movie Catfish. You think, what is this? A science fiction movie? A thriller? A mystery film? A horror film? No, it's a minimalist art movie. I don't even like get how this got widespread release. It's like it's not a mainstream film. It's like an experimental film. It's just like an art film. Like, large portions of this movie are just nothing. It reminded me of something like Lamb. Or just, I don't know, just like a bunch of... Like, it just reminded me, back when I was in university, I had a bunch of friends who loved art films, and they'd always drag me to watch them, and I always hated them. And this reminded me a lot of that. A lot more than anything kind of like mainstream, like Dark Skies, or... I can't think of another like alien-themed horror movie, but just a normal like horror film. I can't really remember, but apparently a lot of the actors in this were good in other movies, but they all just sucked in this film. The writing was bad. The themes were bad. Anytime when I like watch a movie and then I go and I read a summary and I'm like, I don't remember any of this happening in the movie, that's normally a bad sign. Probably the ultimate example of that was Technolize, where I like nothing in the summary I recalled even happening in the show. So there's that aspect to it, but it's not all bad. There's a couple good things. The first one is this film is not particularly racist against white people, so that's a step in the right direction. There is one really cringy scene. So like the black guy who's the main character, his first name is OJ, and he's like introduces himself as OJ, and there's like some white woman who's like, "Ooh, that's an unfortunate name," and that was supposed to be like racist, I guess. And it's like, I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, if your last name is Dahmer, it's like naming your son Jeffrey. Or if your last name's Kaczynski, naming your son Ted, or however you pronounce his name, or naming your son Adolf Hitler. Like, I don't. That's apparently like. That's racism that you think it's unfortunate that someone's named after a notorious, widely despised figure. So, yeah, so let's try to like even get into what is this movie even about? Okay, there's that, and it was kind of interesting that the alien wasn't a spaceship; it was like an alien life form that they kill with a balloon. I think it's not very clear. So the film, our main character is Otis Hayward Jr. with his sister Emerald. So they do some black explaining like when they first show up. They're like, the first piece of movie ever made was this black dude who was riding a horse for like 3 seconds. And because of that, you should worship us as the founders of the motion picture industry. I think they said that they were descendants from them, so that means like everything that happened in the film industry is the result of black people. And it's just like it's this need to take like really mediocre, slightly interesting historical facts and extrapolate it like that's the only thing you have to be proud of. It's just really sad. Like that's our contribution to the film industry is someone recorded our ancestor riding a horse. It's like who cares? I guess that's slightly interesting, but that doesn't really. It's like so. All the like stuff that Orson Welles invented when he was making Citizen Kane or George Lucas's special effects, that was all because of this like 5 second clip of a dude riding a horse. But anyway, so OJ runs a business where they rent out horses to Hollywood movie productions, and he is perhaps the least charismatic, least social, least interesting person that you've ever seen. He's basically just an asshole to everybody. He's completely unpersonable. He's just kind of a dick. So he keeps getting fired for productions because he has no charisma whatsoever, and he can't even like really talk to people because he just doesn't care. And he gets fired because like he in a really disinterested way tells like the white people don't stand near the back of the horse, and then they do, and then the horse kicks them, and then he loses that one. But he's actually selling off the horses that his father, played by Keith David, was raising, and he dies in like the intro to the movie because a coin fell out of an airplane and hit him like in Breaking Bad or something. And like, why can't Keith David be in this movie more? I just want him to like talk for the entirety of the like 2 hours this film is. That would have been much better. Just have him read the phone book. Have him read the book of Revelations. That would have been a much better movie. So he keeps getting fired from jobs because he's incompetent. His sister is just kind of a stereotype, but at least she's somewhat like has a personality. Like later on, they go to Ricky Jupiter, aka the Asian dude's rodeo, and like OJ's like, I want to sell you a horse. And then she's like trying to like talk him up and ask him about himself and like build a rapport with him, and he's just like, you don't, that's not how you do business. You don't do business by getting to know people and getting them to like you. You do business by like uncharismatically just telling them to like fuck off and give you money. So it turns out that like Ricky Park was like a child actor who was on some show in like the 70s that had like a white family and a chimp. And during the filming of the show, the chimp went nuts and did what chimps do and just ate everybody's faces, but it didn't kill him. So this is supposed to, by showing this random flashback, we're supposed to determine that because the chimp didn't kill him, he thinks he has the power to control monsters, and he's trying to control this monster that's attacking the ranch, and that he's been feeding horses to, and no one's like realized it, and none of this is like really established. And it's like the whole theme of this film is spectacle, where the chimp eating people was spectacle, and the fact that there's this alien is spectacle, and the fact that they want to figure out what the alien is spectacle. And it's your fault, the person at home, for wanting to watch a movie that entertains you. Maybe that's like the whole meta commentary of this, is he made this boring as fuck movie where nothing happens for like 90% of the film with no spectacle as like a fuck you to the audience. This is like a Rian Johnson movie, kind of. But so like that happens, and there's this thing that keeps attacking their ranch and stealing their horses, and they go to like basically their equivalent of like Best Buy or whatever, and they get this really bored dude to like help them out, set up security cameras, but the alien has like an EMP device that turns off the cameras or something like that. So then they reach out to this other dude who has a IMAX camera that is hand cranked. So he shows up and he takes a bunch of pictures of the alien with the IMAX camera. Then he runs up to the alien, and the alien kills him and takes the IMAX camera. Then they go to like the Western show world, and everyone there gets eaten by the alien. And then his sister kills the alien by letting a balloon go up into the sky, and the alien eats the balloon and then explodes for some reason. And she manages to take a picture of it, even though they had taken all the other pictures of it earlier. There was like a TMZ reporter or something. And then the film just kind of stops. And that is Nope. In summary, you may say, Argent, that didn't make a lick of sense. That was completely and totally incoherent. I don't even know what you were talking about. And that's just the way that this film is. It's a nothing burger. It's something like, let me see, how long is this movie? It's over 2 hours of just nothingness. Then like a kind of cool looking alien, and in the end, like, I guess it didn't like shit on white people that much. Maybe that was like the good thing about it, but like not being like offensive or not being caustic and painful to watch in one regard isn't really enough for me to give a film a good review. So I would not recommend watching Nope, not even as like a joke or not even out of curiosity. It's just not interesting. It's just boring. It's just really, really boring. Like, there's films that are bad but are interesting bad. Like, Suicide Squad is a horrible movie, but I could spend, like, weeks just going through every frame and explaining why it sucks. This film is just, like, it's just nothing. Like, how do you talk about nothing? It's like a Buddhist koan. I guess if you want to maybe meditate, this might be an okay film to watch, but overall, I just stay far away from it. So that's my review of Nope. Hope you enjoyed the review. Don't